Hello and welcome everyone. This is Dmitry. We are having another network programmability stream, and today we will continue working on our network automation controller, which I write in Python. It's going to be, I think, part 3. Yeah, we didn't have a stream last week, and during this time, I already managed to forget everything that we were doing as part of the series, so I'll try to remember it today. Um, there are some technical issues that we have today, which are rather unfortunate. So I have been using the new CML, new Cisco modeling labs for my labs, and I just found out that my license has expired this week. And obviously today is Sunday, and I will not be able to get a new one this fast. So I was, right now I'm trying to work around this. So yeah, we'll see how successful that's going to be. But before we will jump into actually remembering the where we were with the project and dealing with this lab, couple of topics to discuss. And if you're watching this on YouTube and if you don't care about some of the pieces, just use timecode below to jump to different section. All right, first news is DevNet Sandbox, and it's actually very interesting because I will be right now using it, even though that was not planned. So DevNet and Hank Preston in particular did a lot of work to get the new Cisco modeling labs, which previously known as Viral 2, on DevNet Sandbox. So the enterprise version was already released, and I think personal edition will be released in the beginning of May or mid-May or something. I don't remember the date. So, but you can already access it using DevNet Sandbox. So if you go to DevNet Sandbox and you look for Cisco Modeling Labs, you can reserve an instance. The only kind of downside is that it's only maximum time you can get it is for 4 hours. Then you can reserve a new one. It's quite popular right now, so I think they kind of limit the maximum reserve time for this. So because I have problem with license on my setup, I will be using the DevNet Sandbox. I will be trying using DevNet Sandbox. There are some issues that may arise because I will be using AnyConnect and I have some of the code on my VM, and I don't know if they do split tunneling or not or stuff like that. So I will need to be really careful. Maybe I will have to transfer code around or something. I don't know yet, but we'll see. Okay. Second thing is, I think last week there was. I can't find it here. Yeah. Did not I? Oh yeah, here it is from Guido. So final Python 2 release is out. So this was on April 20th. So yeah, almost 1 week ago. So official Python support was gone on January 1st, 2020, but there was still one very last maintenance. Well, not maintenance. The how it's called. One last release was planned with some of the bug fixes for Python 2, and that was released on April 20th. And this means that Python 2 is done. There will be nothing new for it. So if you haven't migrated yet, what are you waiting for? Just start migrating right now. Another thing which I just noticed by looking at my my Twitter, and I did not mention it on previous stream, is that a lot of Cisco exams are right now available online. So I think it's not only DevNet Associate and Professional. I think it also applies for either Cisco exams. So they are right now available online. If you if you want to take Cisco Cert, now would be a great time to do it online. No need to go to test center and stuff. Okay, last but not the least, and it is really applicable to our stream, well, to any kind of stream, is this thing, NVIDIA RTX Voice. So it's a software program which was released by NVIDIA recently, and I don't use this word often, but I will use it right now. I do think it's a game changer in terms of streaming quality. Okay, so what it does is that it works on a bunch of NVIDIA cards, not only RTX but some other cards. It's a software program. You open it up, you check your microphone, you set the level that you want to for it to work on, and it will suppress background noises. It will suppress your keyboard strokes or mouse clicks or any other things, and it does it pretty damn good. It uses AI to filter some of this, so it's like I have tried it and I'm still impressed. Just before the stream, so I was trying it earlier this week, but I set up it on maximum, and the sound quality was okay, but there was like a strong echo. Now, just before the stream, I was testing some of the different levels, so I set up, I think, at around 80% or so, and now you can still, like, at 80% you can still hear some of the clicks, but they are very quiet. And especially considering that I have mechanical keyboard and it's right in front of the microphone, so I do think it's a big deal. So I haven't typed that much yet, but you'll definitely notice. So if you haven't seen it, and you know what, just let me just run this this YouTube segment.
It's not perfect, but it's like way. It's not. It's not perfect, but it's like way better than anything you'd ever expect, right? Like, I don't think an audio engineer could do any better than this in a live broadcast, not by a long shot. And I can even take the fan away. I can point it in different directions. I can move it around. I can bang on the desk. While I'm talking to you guys, I can bang on the desk and have a fan blowing at the microphone and my face, banging on the desk. So it's like a construction site, and you guys can still literally hear me fine, and I sound okay. Like this, like if you were just sitting there listening to a live stream, this wouldn't be annoying in the background. This is hilarious. Okay, this is genuinely the coolest shit I've ever seen. All right, there, I just disabled the filter. This is what it sounds like right now. Hey guys, welcome to Afternoon Coffee. Does this sound cool? Is this good audio quality? Let me enable the RTX filter again. Hold on here. All right, RTX coming on. And now we got, okay, I still hear the same thing through my headset. It's super loud, banging. I got air blow. My neighbors can probably hear this dead blow hammer. This is just cool. It's not.
Yep. There were a bunch of F-bombs, but yeah, I don't think I will edit this out. Yeah, I do think it's amazing. So yeah, if you are streaming or not even streaming, maybe you have, you know, for your voice calls and stuff, and you don't use a headset and you just, you know, use some sort of mic, and where people, you know, could hear a bunch of stuff in the background, you could use that. It's quite taxing on the I think on the resources, so it's not for free. I mean, the program is for free, but you have to pay this, you have to sacrifice some of your resources, but you know, didn't buy my Ryzen CPU, and you know, I didn't have any use of it. Now I actually could put it in some, you know, some use. All right, that was all on the news front. Let's jump into today's actual stream, and so we'll continue working on our stuff. Now I don't remember where we stopped last time, so I will have to figure it out. I think so let me think how I can do it. First, I think I will connect to my server. I just don't remember at all what we were working on. I remember we had some issues with NetBox, which I was trying to solve during the whole freaking stream. But I think that is done. Or maybe done? Secret screwed up. Yeah, I was working on, I think, this piece a lot, secrets, and this was here. Damn, I don't remember, guys. Anything. God damn it. Okay, so we had, okay, I'm right now remembering some of it. So in NetBox we added usernames and passwords. Okay, it should be 8080. Uh, 100. And it's not HTTPS. Yeah, okay, so this is NetBox. We had here secrets. And we were pulling these secrets using this NetBox private key file, and this is here. So we have public and private key. And we were supplying the private key to get the actual secrets. Damn, that was... I remember I was struggling with that too much. This is a great idea, Dmitry. People need to learn more about how to use NetBox as SOT. See, okay, since you brought this up, I will talk about this a little bit. As I'm building this, I'm not yet convinced that using NetBox only as your source of truth is a good idea. And I have been like mentioning this before in some of the previous streams. I think it's useful, but you need to know where to stop, if that makes sense. So there is a bunch of things you may want to store about your network, and it could be your low-level details on the devices, and it could be higher level of abstractions of services, and you shouldn't try putting that data in NetBox. It's not, I don't think it's the best idea. So you have to think anyway about some other sort of database, or maybe even multiple databases where you would store this information. And I like to bring this example where, let's say you want to have a web form with user provisioning, right? Like, and when you click, when you want to do that, it should go through multiple systems and change this based on like a couple of input parameters. Modeling this in NetBox, I don't think it's the best idea. You need to understand where to stop trying to put stuff in NetBox. And I was actually talking to, I asked Jeremy Stretch, who created NetBox, about like, does it often happen that people come to you and ask to add new things to NetBox which are services, if that makes sense? And he says like all the time, and like I'm having trouble forming my thoughts today, but you just need to be aware of what it is for, and you not try to overuse it, not use it as a hammer for every everything, right? Just yeah, so maybe configuration aromas don't fit well in network structure, but inventory and IPAM is good fit. I agree with you. But however, as soon as you start using some of the things, typical example would be VLAN, right? Like there is a VLAN information here. Well, I don't remember how you select it, but you definitely can. I just don't remember exactly. Like you can put here on the interface, it works this way. You can put a VLAN, right? Is this really an inventory data? Or is this really an IPAM data? I don't think so. But the amount of demos which I have seen, which were changing the VLANs based on SOT, based on NetBox as a SOT, were quite big, okay? And you definitely can do this, right? But the reason you can do this is kind of like because there is a field for this feature. Now, what happens when you need something and there isn't a field, right? So that's why custom fields were created. You use that, okay, fine. This allows you to store some arbitrary data for every device. then you want, let's say, to start services provisioning, let's say, I don't know, L3 VPN, right, or something. And then that piece doesn't fit into any of the devices you have. And then you come up with either some sort of hacks, or you're trying to, create new issues in NetBox and asking for this kind of enhancement. It's kind of like there is no clear boundary about what inventory and the SIEM should have. So config context field is abused by storing config elements JSON. I'm extremely guilty of this. See, like that's exactly what I'm talking about. Hey Carl, thank you for joining and thank you for contributing to the discussion. Let me see what you have written here. Work is currently trying to figure out where things should live. It seems like it will be NetBox for inventory IPAM, but I agree that it's the right tool for a right job thing. I think we'll end up building another DB in parallel to house other data that needs to be stored but doesn't fit into NetBox nicely. Yeah. It just... Again, I have no issue with NetBox or anything. Like, I actually love NetBox and this is the reason I'm using it on the stream. It just... I hear this all the time. I see so many demos as well where people use it as the only thought for network automation, and I think this is a big mistake. Maybe I'm wrong here. Now, another interesting thing is that once you start moving to your own database, right? Like, why would you want to use NetBox then, right? Like, you know, stuff like this. Now, I personally found that I think I would still use it to give other people. So like me as a developer, I don't like if you have everything in your custom DB, right? You have to build front end for everything. In this particular case, I could, you know, if I have the data already in NetBox, I could give other non-developers, right, access here, and they can quickly see, like, you know, some information about the network, like, you know, some, yeah, like connection details, or like where the device is located and stuff like that, right? Some understanding of my IP addressing scheme and stuff like that. It's just, I know there is I think a balance that should be kept, and I don't think and don't make no mistake, I think I'm part of the problem, because if I really think this way, I should talk about this more on like public forums and, like, you know, have some kind of presentation or something, but I don't do that on this topic. So I believe that I'm part of this problem as well. I don't think all of these network automation engineers who are kind of, you know, trying to lead the industry talk about this enough, because I keep hearing NetBox is a single thought and stuff like that. So yeah, tough topic. We'll see. The UI is huge, one less thing to build. Yeah, exactly, Carl. However, now that we go back to our project, that's very interesting, right? Because I actually... So I don't know if you folks saw some of the previous streams, and probably I should just bring up... Let me think. I need to bring up my current state of the lab. If only I remembered anything. So I think poetry. Right. Poetry. So let's start, and I will show you something. And okay, so I have these. And front end. Was it yarn serve, I think? Yeah, port 8081, I will have to fix it. Oh no, it's right here. Okay, so if I go right now to 8081 and then iterate, you can see that now I have this, right? And like this is almost like this. Right? So like I want to have this tab where I get some of the details from the devices, and in this case I also want to have a console link, and I want to first fetch software version, credentials, stuff like that. So yeah, so this almost looks like this. I mean, not as pretty as this, but you get the point. By the way, folks, I think my lab is ready. My DevNet Sandbox is ready. I got an email here, so let me get credentials. Hi Dmitry, good news. Your lab is ready. Here are credentials. Okay. I really hope that that there is split tunnel, because if there is no split tunnel, I will lose access to my DevNet developer machine, developer VM, and I really don't want that. Let's go. Okay. DevNet Sandbox. Okay. Developer Cisco 154. Okay, so this is running a DevNet Sandbox. I will they have a lab here already, pretty cool lab, by the way. This lab has ASAV, ISXR, virtual ISVL2, and CSR, and Nexus. So they have like multiple Cisco platforms, which you could try to automate, or whatever you want to do with them. So let me stop this lab, and this is where I think you will see like the beauty of something like this. So oh no, I don't need to add a lab. I need just to import. So right now I'm taking the YAML file from my local instance, right? because that one is not lightened. I will actually stop it because I have no use of it right now. Okay, so uploaded the lab, and now I have my 10 CSR lab from another viral instance, and I can just click start here. Done. Okay, so while this lab is up and running, I need to do a couple of changes. So I need to copy my JOT token, and I need to put it here in environment.c. I can already see that this n/c file is not really scalable here. So I'm thinking if I should change anything here or not. There is one library that I really like to use for config files. It's called dynaconf. Let me think if this is a good choice here. Yeah, it's a good choice. So let me add this library here. I think it's going to be useful. So backend, we have to stop it and we say poetry at dynaconf. Yeah. RIP. Yeah, this is a problem because I'm any connected there. I think. Yep, DNS is not working. I will try rebooting it. I don't think it will change anything, but we'll see. Let me see the chat. Yeah, I was just concerned about this. If you have after feeding data into the tool, then shouldn't be ideally source editors, right? If you are out of sorry fun, I don't think I can understand the question 100%. Could you please work? Yeah, I don't think it's resolve cont now. Another problem is that if I do that, like if I change it here, then Docker will not be happy. By the way, I think there was 2004 released this week. I haven't checked it yet. What's it? Is it NetPlan? Okay, let's restart now on NetPlan. Oh no, NetPlan restart. Was it like restart networking or something? Oh, sudo network client. Nice. Okay, so now this should work. Let's go. Perfect, perfect. Finally. Okay, I still remember how to deal with some of these issues, so that's good. Okay, so we'll run this again. Okay, so here we'll go to backend and we'll say poetry at dynaconf. If you haven't seen this library, it's pretty cool library to manage different configurations. I really love it. So dynaconf docs. We'll change a bunch of things right now. So we'll have settings.toml file, but I need to be careful where I put it though. Yeah, I think I can put it here. So settings.toml file, if of course I could spell it correctly. Okay, and let me just get an example here. Okay. So let me save this. I don't have a plugin for this, for Toml. By the way, folks, install message would. If you don't use TOML files for your configs, I can highly recommend. I really like how like you can do sections and stuff like this in TOML. I do feel like it's one of the best formats for it, specifically for config files. Okay, so I have to move some of these things here, at least for now. I'm not sure I need this, but I mean, I will do it anyway. Default. So we'll say device username. Let's say we have default device, and I have username, password. If you need to change this, we'll change this. Okay, so I don't need this. And then the DevNet is going to be staging, and the local is going to be development. So development file will have host is this. Well, I can just put the whole URL, of course. Right, and staging.viral is whatever Sandbox is giving us here. Okay, and then I need only token, right? So this is my local token, and I don't care if I leak it or not, because this token doesn't give you anything. Unless you can access my viral server, it's not a big deal if I leak this or not. And then I need to go to CML here and copy this token and put it here. Okay, so I don't care about this. Okay, default device. What else is in here? Okay, so this was taken care of. NetBox. Okay, so ideally I would want to put NetBox like separately here, but because I will be using the same. I think I could still use staging and development. That's why you are doing Figgle. Thanks. Config files for what? Config files for your application. So like in this case, some of this data may change depending on where I'm running this at. So like, you know, locally I will be using some local instance, maybe even with default credentials. But then if I move this to production, this obviously will like change because I will set up something else. So especially like when you are growing, when you feel like using something like this, like environment RC is not really sufficient for you, and you feel like you want to be able from, you know, access like different databases or stuff from the same machine, then I would suggest moving to something like dynaconf. So because you have these sections here, because here I would just need to comment this out and like put the new stuff here, right? this actually have different sections for different types of environment, and like unless until your application is completely distributed. So if your application completely distributed, then obviously config files like this will not really work. Then you will have to switch to something like secrets, right? You will have to switch to something like HashiCorp Vault or whatever, so that you can fetch these configuration parameters in distributed application. But until you are at that point, I see no problem with putting a config file like this and run it. Okay, so another thing that I need to do is NetBox, right? So I will have another 2 more sections here. So I have NetBox and staging NetBox, and those parameters are going to be exactly the same. So NetBox token and NetBox server. Okay, so let's say we have host and token, yeah. And in these both cases, this is going to be this. And token is default token. And I copy paste this, and it's here now. And then private key file. Maybe I could put it here. I can do default NetBox, and I can say private key file will be dot NetBox key full. So okay, I have this empty section, this one, this global I don't need here, so I can delete it, and I can save all this. And I still think I need to add something. Let me try finding this dynaconf merge. So one issue here is that this is kind of like subsection, right? And this subsection is present in default and it's present in development. So this right now, I think it overrides this by default. Maybe they change it at some point. I don't remember. So we actually probably should check this. Okay, so how do I check this? So I guess I will run my application. So if I say poetry run bpython, and I say from dynaconf import settings, and now I think if I say settings get okay, so right now this gets development stuff, right? And I'm curious about NetBox piece though. So I don't think NetBox is being merged. Yeah, so you can see here for the NetBox section, I pulled this thing, right? But this is not merged with this. So this is what I have to fix. So you use environmental variables to select which config section you want to have. So I will want to have these in my N4C file now. I will put development, even though it's default, you know, we want to be explicit. And now another thing that we want to have is merge. Dunder merging for nested structure. For nested structure, the convention is to use dunder merging because it's easier to read and also has no limitations. The use of dunder denotes in a slow ensure the keys merge to existing dynaconf merge token. By adding dynaconf merge to a list, or dict marks it as a merge candidate. Okay, so if I do this, this is something I think they added recently, because I don't remember seeing this before. So I think if I do it like this, I was previously using this thing merge enabled for dynaconf, but if they say like be explicit, I have no problems with this. I'm curious what this enable does though. Okay, so let's try this again. Dynaconf allow and poetry run Python from dynaconf import settings, and settings get NetBox. Okay, this didn't work so well. I don't know why. I don't really understand this. Maybe this. What the hell is this? Okay, whatever. I don't want to spend more time on this. I just want to get this working right now. So okay, now it works. Okay. So I don't know, I have to read docs more. I can't be bothered right now. Okay, so now we have this merge, right? So these parameters here from development.netbox are merging with default.netbox. This is pretty nice. Okay, I think I will need to restart here because I want to have some syntax highlighting here. Let me restart this really quick. Could you folks, by the way, confirm that you can barely hear me typing from the keyboard? You probably can still hear a little bit because I didn't enable this suppression for 100%, but I think it's improved significantly. All right, cool. So now we have syntax highlighting here. So I think we are good. I have to check the lab. Oh, rip. That's bad. Okay, let me think. How do I fix this? Okay, one problem right now is that my server is local, right? This lab is here. I usually expose management interface through the breakout. By the way, you can see that all devices are up and running. What's the version here? 16.11b. And you can see that it got all of the initial configuration that was provided as part of the thing. Now, one big change that probably we'll have to do is this IP address. It depends. So because I'm exposing this network outside, right? Then I need to know what IP range I can use here. So reach the sandbox. Okay, so I need to find this bridge. Okay, router configuration. Okay, so it's 10, 10, 20, 173, 255, 255, 2550. Okay, I think I need to check my local IP address. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I am on 192, 168, 254. I am 11. So this one, right? And the route for this subnet 10, 10, 20 is pointing there. Now this sandbox is at 161. These network devices seem to be at 171. So 10, 10, 20, 161. DevBox is 10, 10, 20, 50. Right. Okay. So what we have to do is to go to every single device in my topology and change their IP address here. Match it. So we go to gigabit 1 and say IP address 10, 10, 20, 171. Right? So NWR. Before I will move to next ones, I think this is a good point for me to test. So if I do 10 and 20, 171, and it doesn't ping. Very interesting. Is this thing is in the bridge mode? It is in the bridge mode. Rip. That's not good. This is not good. Can I ping 161? Oh, okay. So it seems like pings are filtered. So if I do SSH there, please. Come on. Yo. Please work. No. Can I ping? Ten, 10, 20, 15. Okay, so I can't ping any of those. Let me reload this just to make sure that I can still access this lab. So if I telnet to 10, 10, 20, 161, 443. Okay, I have a connection. If I telnet to 171.22, this doesn't work. That's epic fail. Right, team, I need your help here. How do I approach troubleshooting this? Okay, these are on the same network. By default, CML uses blah blah blah. SH port, a SH port for console connections. Okay, so if I SSH to developer at 10, 10, 21, 61. Okay, I can SSH to the viral server. I have a feeling that I have one idea. So if we connect to the DevBox, we should be on the same network as those. So this should be 10 10 2050 developer. Okay, cool. So I have access here. Can I ping 10 10 20 171 and duplicate pings? Interesting. But at least packets are coming there, so I should be able to do syscret 10 10 2171. Okay, now I'm at R1. Okay, folks, so this changes a lot. You have to do a bunch of changes here to make this work with DevNet Sandbox. Because it seems like the firewall is filtering all of the ports except of the, so like you can only get to this jump box. Oh, what I'm doing. No, it's CentOS. I don't think he will reply today, but I will ask Hank Preston if this is expected. Let's see what he will reply, because that's a bummer. This means my code should be on that server, which is not the biggest issue. It's just I have to copy there. Let me think how I can do it. Yeah, and then there is another interesting issue. Is this sandbox will be automatically destroyed, right, in 3 hours now. This means that like if I keep developing them and I don't have a local copy, then I'm screwed. So let me so this is an interesting use case for PyCharm actually, right? If you remember, I was referring to this earlier, that if you use VS Code and their SSH thing, then you develop directly on the remote machine. you don't have you don't save anything local. But if you use PyCharm, it actually does two-way synchronization. So you have like local instance and then remote instance, and then that keeps it in sync. So I'm curious if there is VS Code remote SSH with local save or something like this. God damn it. Yeah, you have to use PyCharm here. Because I am really afraid that I will do a bunch of work and then my session will end and I will forget to save it. And then it's just over. Like a couple of hours of my life just wasted. That's not fun. I'm very curious why there is no option in VS Code to save it locally. Okay, do I even have PyCharm installed? Oh, I have it. I'll need to update it though. We'll have to kind of like do a bunch of work here. I haven't used it extensively here on Windows. I have to update. And it will do it. You'll have to do it a bunch of times because it just does one update at a time. Okay, so my plan here is the following. So we'll have to save our progress. We have to copy settings file separately. We'll have to save. We'll have to commit everything to GitHub. Oh, and then there is this key as well. Fine, whatever. I'm also curious. No, that will not work. So from DevBox, I cannot access my NetBox instance, right? So that is out of the question. So I have to bring NetBox there. It's just so hard and complex for absolutely no reason. If only I could access my devices directly, that would be amazing. I'm also thinking if we can do port forwarding on the Jambox. And does it even make sense to do it? Because then I can keep developing locally. So that could be good. What do you think, guys? Oh, that will just keep updating. I really want to have that part done though. Okay, what other options do I have? I can switch back to GNS 3, but then I will have to change IP addresses anyway. JetBrains 20 years, holy hell. So much work for something that will be gone in a couple of hours. That's so sad. Okay. Does this have Docker? It does. Okay, at least it has Docker. Okay. I think I was using Python Python, not poetry run Python. .376. I mean, I could use 3.7, whatever. Okay, so I need dynaconf. I need to start with wiki and CentOS. So I need to install this first. Let's do sudo vim update first. And then upgrade. Run PyCharm. And I think the PyCharm had some other update as well. Okay, let's do upgrade. Oh, I think you just need to do update, right? Update. Yeah. So now we install packages. The next thing is pyenv installer. Okay. We'll just run this bash script. Download it from the internet. Okay, then we add this to bashrc. So vim bashrc. This activation, I don't like this, so we'll relog in now. So pyenv update. And then I can just use pyenv install -l37 grep, of course, and we can install pyenv install 377, and this will be installing for some time. Okay, what about this? We have some plugins updated. We'll have to download the project locally though. So I'm actually thinking of changing some stuff. So, yeah, I guess this will be better. Yeah, we'll have to do that. So what I remember my first or second stream on this project in particular, and there was a discussion, well, not discussion, about something I brought it up, that after I build this lab, it would be good if I could auto-populate NetBox instance with the information, right? And like consensus was that like I shouldn't waste time on that. Now that I look at this, since we changed our viral instance, right? And like kind of like development environment changed a little bit. If you think about it, now it's more important than ever because I can't keep using my local instance of NetBox. So I will have to create a new NetBox instance and populate it either manually or using the script. So I think the time will be better spent if I actually like stop what I was planning to do and I actually build these, because who knows like what is going to happen next time. Or even like if for some reason I can use it locally, I will keep using the sandbox, but the sandbox is destroyed every 4 hours. So I need to have semi-automated way to like get to the point where I need. So we could actually, I'm thinking of, I think I will do that. So I will build a script which populates NetBox from some viral details. And I just forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, I think this would be, I mean, this doesn't progress our project a lot, but at the same time, like, you know, why not? So we could automatically populate our NetBox instance from scratch, which is pretty nice. And then we can keep working on the app itself. I guess. Yeah, I think this is going to be fine. Okay, so I have here pyenv installed, and there is a version 377. So the way I usually approach this is that I do pyenv global, the version that I would like to use by default, and I need also to install poetry. Oh, I remembered what I wanted to say. So another thing that kind of makes sense in this environment, which kind of like can be killed in some amount of time, is to have scripts which reproduce everything that you're building. So in this particular case, I'm actually thinking that it makes sense to create it makes sense to create an Ansible to manage this, right? To create Ansible playbook. And yeah, I did not expect that I would ever say this. But in this case, I think it kind of makes sense, right? Like I need to do a bunch of things on this server, so it would be good to kind of do it with Ansible or some other piece of configuration management software. Technically, I could do it with Nornir, but honestly, in this particular case, I don't think it makes sense. Like Ansible really shines in particularly this amount of things, because like I mean in this case playbooks are going to be very declarative. I can even probably find pyenv Ansible role or something. Yep, someone already created it. I don't think I will use it, but it's there. Because I would have to keep doing this like all the time, right? So why don't we just build a playbook to do that? So I'm thinking where should I put it? I guess I would like want to just run this locally. So I can even put this in this project, right? So I can say I mean, ideally I would want to run it from here, from this machine, but I don't want to run anything on Windows. So yeah, I think what we could do is we could add an Ansible here. Yeah, I never expected I would say that, but here we are. Here we are. So Ansible, we'll just have a local host here. And then just provision YAML and no. God damn it. Oh. No, this should not be. This should not live here. This should actually live on my Windows machine. And the reason why is that in order to run Ansible, right, I would want to I will need like a proper Python version and pip install And the way I use Python is already I use it via pyenv. Okay, never mind. You'll be doing it manually then. Or I will have to create it on Windows. Okay, so another thing that I need is NetBox Docker, right? So I need NetBox Docker. So we're kind of like almost repeating what we were doing on the first stream for this project. So I git clone this. Okay, then I have to make some changes here. So we'll say move NetBox Docker to NetWarden Docker, NetWalker NetBox. Okay, and then I go here and I have to look at Docker Compose YAML. I think there is like ports or some other mapping that I need to be aware of. I think I did some changes to that compose file. This is different. Yeah, I want to change this port. Boom. Yep. Okay, I think we are good here. So the next piece is just bringing that up, I guess. So we say docker compose up -d, and this will take some time. Okay, while it's it's almost done. That's weird. Are you kidding me? Seriously? I just have this single change here. I'm pretty sure that is fine. Oh, it's working. All right. Okay, so okay, so I'm in admin instance here. Now, what we have to do, we have to create scripts which auto-populate these. So I can cheat here if I really want to. I'm not sure I want to, but it could be actually kind of smart. Oh yeah, they're running different major release, so that's probably not the smartest idea. Oh, and it broke. Okay then. Oh yeah, I think I stopped it. Yeah, so, but the idea here was I can copy the volume. I can copy files from the volume and just put them here, like the whole database. That would be kind of stupid, but why not? I'm actually feeling that this is what I want to do. I don't want to run scripts to write scripts which will interact with this NetBox and will add all of these things there. Feel like it's just going to be too much effort that is not warranted. Maybe there is even I think I could try this, but I don't think it's going to be smart. The biggest fear here is that they're running different major release, and usually the schema changes. Yeah, there is a bunch of stuff here. And I was using 279, so I was using this one. And the latest that was pulled was this one. Obviously I can make them the same. It's just I don't want to. Okay. Or maybe I could just move data manually. It's not like a biggest deal, right? I mean, it's... No schema changes between 279 and 281. Just added few description fields. Okay. Now, I mean... Let me see. Because this is not replicating, this is upgrading NetBox, pretty much. Okay, so download the release, copy configuration file you created when first installing to the new version, copy LDAP, no. Once the new code is in place, verifies that any optional Python packages required by your deployment are listed in local requirements and run upgrade script. This script destroys and rebuilds Python virtual environment, installs all required Python packages, installs any additional packages, applies database migrations, collects all static files to be served by HTTP service, deletes tail content types, expired user sessions, clears all cache data. Sir. Um, Folks, what do you think? What I kind of like, I know I'm on the fence here. So solution number one is to export Postgres and just import it. Thing number two, just copy the freaking volume between machines. Then option number three is run this upgrade script, but I kind of like will have to adjust it for Docker somehow, I guess. The biggest point that I am afraid of would be migrations, right? The problem, even if it's like so yeah, here's the thing. So you have your one instance of NetBox running latest release with latest migration. So this means it has its own schema, right? Well, kind of like the latest schema, if you will. And then you have older instance with older schema and the data in it, right? If I just do, let's say, export import with Postgres tool, right? Then I will end up with old schema on a new version, which I don't think is, which I will have to reapply migrations, I guess. But I don't think how well this works when there is like data in it. Right? Or like, am I crazy, or there is some flaws in my logic here? Option number two, that upgrade script that was provided, it seems like it will, in the new version, right, it will delete everything, including the databases. So you can, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know about my enough about migrations to kind of make this assessment. Or I should just write the script, which will just add the state almost. Yeah, that will just add the state, I guess. Export import CSV with the data. Is there an option like this? Okay, this is only for devices. Probably it will be enough. I guess I will have to like do it for every single section, right? It feels at least like this way. Yeah, what you should export. Yeah, I guess I could do that. Because otherwise it's like I'll have to understand like more and more about migrations and database schemas that I don't feel like doing today, and it could also like waste a lot of time. From another perspective, I'm also like more talking right now than actually doing. So I already wasted a bunch of time anyway. Yeah, I have to wait until this works. I think I could do at least secrets here. I don't remember if it goes here or not. I think it was. Yeah. Okay. Enter your public RSA key. Okay. So we will use the same thing. And in this case, I also like don't care if it's like going to be leaked on the stream or not. It's not big of a deal. Hello? Why are you not working this way? Okay. Cool. So I have these, and then I have sites and something. So I export. Okay. Yeah, I think this would be the fastest way and like relatively safe. This is a good idea. Thank you so much. Meow. Meow. That is very helpful suggestion. Very helpful. Okay, device type as well. I do have to mention though that this workflows that that NetBox has, like, look pretty cool. Manufacturer. Let's go. I can only imagine how much effort it was to create this. So kudos to Jeremy for working on this really hard. Why have URFs here? I don't remember why I even have URFs here. No clue whatsoever, guys. IP addresses. Cables, connection. This is killing me. Oh, device roles. Of course. This is cool, but now that I'm thinking about this more, imagine I will not be able to get the new license for the next stream. And this instance is going to be destroyed in a couple of hours. So all this effort that is done is like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this if all is going to be deleted? Like, why don't you invest a little bit of your time, or maybe even the whole stream, but at least you'll have something reproducible. Yeah. I guess I just don't really want to write code today, huh? Oh, there is no import here, by the way. There is an import here, though. I'm not sure if this will work. Yeah. Okay. Okay, folks. So just so you know, and I will just state out loud, this was not correct choice, giving the options. Just like, I just understand that in 2 hours all this effort is lost. And the reason why is that I decided to be lazy and not write a script which will do this for me, or not figure out how to properly migrate my data. When your choices are bad. I don't think this will work, by the way, this particular piece. Excuse me. Interfaces, this needs to have interfaces. I don't remember how it's done. No. How are interfaces added? Related devices. Oh, perfect, thank you. I'm curious why these interfaces didn't pop up here. Oh, interface connect, okay. I see. Cables. My Siri just got activated for no reason. Wow, okay. It seems like I made a spelling error there, which is not cool. Gigabig. Gigabit. Huh. Okay, and I think on router 2, I did not add. Yeah, I didn't check that this is management. Okay, and now I can connect them, I guess. I'm not doing it correctly. It should be gigabit Ethernet 2. Okay. So I have that. Now I should be able to add IP addresses, I guess. Yay! Now I have to edit this a little bit because our space changed, so it's 10, 10, 20, 171. Wait. And this one is 10, 10, 20, 172. Okay, so I have these. This IP address space is kind of dangerous now, but I guess whatever. So I have these devices. The next piece was secrets, right? So it was how did I do this? I think it was devices, and on device, right? I would add a secret here, and you need secret roles. What secret roles did I have? Login credentials. Okay. Okay, create, and then devices, router, add secret, role, login credentials. Here I say name, Cisco, and password was the same. Create. You don't have an active session key. To request one, please provide a private RSA key below. Okay, so I need to open my RSA key, which ideally you should not flash on your screen, but in this particular case I don't mind. Because this key is not used anywhere else, well, except of this development Another kind of interesting piece, I guess, would be like I'm adding credentials per device, but I mean, ideally you want them like by groups, like either sites or maybe by device type or by platform maybe. Is there a way to add secret here? I don't think there is. No, doesn't seem this way. Can I add it on site level? Like here, touch an image, text, no. Doesn't seem to be the case. Regions? No. Okay, so it seems like I can add secrets only on device level, so okay. So now my instance is pretty much the same as this one. I hope so. This secret piece kind of bothers me a little, but yeah. Okay. So next piece is that I have to commit this code to the Git repo. Now I need to be very careful. With some of the things here. Okay, so NetBox is running on port 8080. Frontend, I would want to run this on, where it is here, yarn serve, just using this. Oh, okay, I can just transparently pass arguments. So I'm curious how I can specify port here. Okay, this default port will not work. I will have to change this to something. Let's say 80, I don't know, 85. Or 8008 or something. Because I don't want the collapse. Okay, another thing that I want to install called Taskfile. It's kind of like Makefile. Installation. I don't think Snap is available on CentOS. No. Scoop Arch Linux Go install script. There is install script. perfect. So I have task. It's in a bin task. Okay, this is not found because this is not in pass. Or is this in pass? Home developer shims. Env local bin. Home developer bin is there. I guess if I log out and log back in, I think it should work. I am confused. Let me run this again. This method will download the binary on the local dot bin direct. Oh, I'm moron. Not a moron, but dummy dumb. Dummy dumb would be the best. Okay, so now this will work. Yep. So okay, and I think I have task on my machine as well, which I do. So now I have to create Taskfile YAML. I will add it here. Taskfile YAML, and we'll test this before I kill it. So let's say tasks build. Okay, so first we'll have NetBox, right? And for NetBox, we have to go to home. And a different folder based on where it is. And here I say docker compose up-d. Second thing is frontend. Let's do backend first. Backend. So for backend, I use poetry, right? So history grab poetry tail -5. Okay, we'll be running this on port 8000. Just didn't copy. Okay, and then I have front end CMDs, which would be yarn serve, and then port. Let's do also host and port. So host 000 and port is 80. I can just do 8081. Okay, save this. So the way I run this would be task backend. I think it's already running. Actually doesn't. Task backend. Why this didn't work? Because I'm not in the correct folder. It's task backend. Poetry couldn't find by project owner. Yeah, about that. I need to go obviously to the proper folder. which would be backend. And here the folder is going to be frontend. Cool. So task backend. Why this doesn't work? This I don't understand. Poetry couldn't find by project Tomo. Yeah, I have to say dear. Okay. So I can say dear. Dear. So like this. Okay, so this is backend. Unfortunately, folks, I will have to leave in 20 minutes. But it's okay. We didn't make a lot of progress, but maybe you folks will learn some of the, well, not learn, but maybe you will find some of these pieces of like workflows interesting, like Taskfile, or like what kind of things I'm doing on every single development machine, you know, stuff like that, like pyenv. I mean, I've been using pyenv a lot, right? But you can see that pretty much without some of these tools, I don't even start development. We also seen this dynaconf stuff, which I find very interesting as well. So even though like we didn't make a lot of progress on the project itself, I feel like it still could be somewhat useful. Okay, interesting. So, okay, so this is another issue which I think we could solve right now. Yeah. So remember I changed to this dynaconf, but it just doesn't do anything. And this is where like we see some of this issue popping up. So here I had import OS. Obviously this is not correct here. I'm wondering about this though. Like, is there a way to do this origins better? I have to think about it. I don't know right now. So here would be from dynaconf import settings. And here, instead of all of these, we go to our settings.toml and we say NetBox private key file, right? So you say settings and then NetBox private key file. Cool, I am opening this file now. You can see that we can replace some of these pieces as well. So this would be NetBox host, and this would be NetBox backend. Okay, make NetBox. Cool. Okay, so some of this data is static, so we'll have to replace it. Now that I think about it, it's actually like I don't do a lot here with, I actually don't do anything with network devices themselves. So maybe it would be a good idea to just finish this like NetBox piece here. And then for the next team, I will figure out like how to fix my environment. Okay. So I have this, so I can say task backend, right? And here it says key netbox private key file does not exist. This is curious. I'm curious about this, why it's the case. and it's coming from dynaconf. Did I do drnf allow? And oh wow. NRC file not found. I don't think what I'm doing right now is correct, but I will check anyway. The error NetBox token. Oh, I see what it is, right? So, I didn't fix it 100%. So here it's settings, right? Okay. So I think this is up and running right now. The way I will check this is that I will just go to slash, and we are running this on the port 8000. So can I postman this? Okay, so this works, right? Then okay, I have to replace this device environment as well. I'm bothered about this settings folder. That is kind of not in the correct place. Okay, I think it's fine. So I have to say device.username here. And settings. Device username. Device password. Okay. There are some random ports there. I will just keep this. Okay. Shift Alt F. Okay. Cool. So I rerun this. This works. I do slash devices, and this works. And new slash devices. This may not work. No, it does. Okay. So I'm getting devices and secrets. Still have like 10 minutes. Okay. So ideally what I want to do is to do mix of these two, right? Let me also check if this last thing works. So devices R1 reboot. And the way, and it's post, right? Yeah, it's post. Post. And the way I know this should work is that while I'm doing this, I should get other pieces. So this still works, but yeah, of course. Let me run this again. So while this is running, I'm using this and this works. So I am achieving this concurrency with async IO here, which is very nice. Okay, what do I want to do? Let me think. Management IP. Okay. So I think I will need to work with these things, right? Okay, I have a name, which will be my username, and then I have plain text, which should be a password. So I have to work with this data. It also refers to site, which is nice. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, so this software version we will not be able to do today. So this needs to be done with RESTconf. I cannot do it today because of my lab environment. But at least I can replace the static pieces, right, with the NetBox data. I'm thinking what's the best way to do it. So okay, so I'm fetching these things. Then I need a function that I know format NetBox data. I don't know how to name this function, so don't judge me. Format NetBox data. Analyze table. No, it's just too much. Okay, this takes devices and secrets. This should be a list. This should be a list of dictionary of any, I guess. And this should be the same thing. Okay, so we accept these parameters. Now, what we have to do is to form, so we have to form from this data, right? I have to form some of these data. I'm curious where FKGN is. Was kind of expecting it to be here somewhere. I mean, I can kind of create it, I guess. So I think I need the function here which says, I can actually just have it def. This also can be a usual function as well. So this will be format creative QDN, I guess, and it accepts device name str, then site slot str, right? Slot str, and then domain, I guess, str. This domain could go to our settings in default. domain name. We say this is lab daily, right? And then here I say that we are returning a star. So this will be result is equal to f device name lower site slug and then the name, right? And the return result. And this, so this part is done. Then format NetBox data. Okay, I may need to have like a kind of two dictionaries here, because I will need to do a lookup based on R1, I guess. Here, does it refer to device ID? Secrets. Okay, secrets device. Yeah, so you'll have to remember device ID. So first we have to create a new thing called ID to device is equal to device ID device for device devices. Okay, so this is a lookup table, so I can, based on the ID of the device, I can look up what device I need. So this is the first piece. So based on this, what we can extract, right? Because we'll have to we'll have to have a result, which is a list, right? And then for device in devices in ID to device values, you have to create normalized device dict, which is going to be this thing, right? So have a name. So name is just device name. Ideally, what you want to do is, once you get this data from the NetBox, you'd want to convert this to object. In my case, like, I mean, when you're converting things to objects, you are pretty much creating like SDK or something, almost. I don't care today. Huh? Okay, so next we will. I think I will have to change this a little bit. Because we'll keep reusing some of the parameters. So site, this will be device, and I'll have to go like shortly, but it's fine. So site, this is site name, site name. So site slug is device site slug. Yep, cool. So I know this. I still don't know the domain. I can say here that domain name is equal to settings and settings domain name. So I know this, and device name, so I can actually form FQDN. So create FQDN, and then I say device name is equal to device name, then site slot is equal to site slug, and then domain is equal to domain name. Okay, and here is device name. Cool. So I have these. Now the console piece is kind of weird. I will have to edit in NetBox and see how that is working. I cannot edit right now. I think I could just put some static data here. Who cares? So I can do it like this. So software version is going to be an A. Now IP address is, I think I will have to retrieve them separately, right? So I think right now, since I don't have time, I will just put them statically as well. Like I will just put random IP address. Ideally, I don't want to have them at all, right? Because I have FQDN, so this FQDN should resolve on the NS server. But for this example, I'll just put it statically. So I have name FQDN, management IP, software version, username, password. So this should come from the secrets. So still needs to be done. And site, I can add site here. So site is equal to device, right? So, and then here, I will just return these devices from devices, I guess. Return devices. You don't add the main to fstring and create a QDN. You're right, thank you. Okay. Okay, cool. So the only piece left to do is this. Sorry, it's secrets, right? It's secrets. So device ID to login codes. Okay. So for secret and secrets. Okay. If device reference is going to be secret, get device. If device reference and is not and device reference ID. I think I don't need this, right? I can just say if this is not known. Let's actually switch this. So if this is known, we will just continue. So otherwise, I say that threads are equal to I think I also need to check what is the role of this, right? So, and threads role is equal to secret role, sorry. The secret role is equal to secret get role. I think it's obligatory here, so I can just do it like this. And I can say slug, right? So if this device is known or secret role is not equal to login credentials, we continue. Otherwise, we need to extract the name by plain text, and in our case, the username is a secret name, and password is secret plain text. Okay. Cool. And then we say device. I guess I can do here. Device ID is equal to device ref. Device ref ID. Okay. And then here I say device ID to login threads. Device ID is equal to login threads. Cool. So I have these. To be honest, this really deserves a separate function, which I think I actually should do. So I should do build device ID to login threads, and this really takes only secrets, which is a list of dictionary if any, and then this returns. Ideally, I would want to have this as a type div, but I just don't care right now. So this will be div str any. Str. Okay. So this is moving there. I can say here result now. Result here as well. And we'll just return a result. Cool. So I have these. Device ID to login threads is equal to build. I'm curious why this doesn't autocomplete. Oh, I see why. Okay. So build device ID to login threads, secrets is equal to secrets. Cool. So have these. Actually, I can see that I don't need this anymore. And I think I deleted more than I should have. I did, didn't I? I did. I did. It's building this carefully and then I just like an axe and it's just all gone. Oh, okay. No, this piece is still there. This is what I deleted. I don't need this piece. So device ID to login threads is equal to build secrets is equal to secrets. Cool. So this is a result, blah 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 blah. Okay. So here I change it slightly in devices. Okay, and here we need to say that username. Let me check if I already have to go. Okay, soon. No one reached out to me yet, but soon they will, I guess. So okay, so here I will extract device ID. And I can say that logging creds are device ID to logging creds, device ID, right? And then get, of course, because they may be absent. And if you don't find anything, this is going to be just a dictionary. So username is going to be login creds get username. Alternatively, it's going to be a name, and password is going to be the same thing. So login creds password, and then we return this. So name of QDN software version management AP site console username password. Yeah, I think this is all here. Now this console is obviously like wrong, but I don't mind. So normalize devices. Okay, so here we have normalize devices. We say devices is equal to devices, secrets is equal to secrets. Very cool. And then I return this, and then we replace the, let's say, alt here, and this is just going to be /devices. Okay, so there are some mistakes which we'll have to fix right now. Invalid syntax, yeah, because I obviously need this thing. More invalid syntax. I forget comma. Okay, and here comma, and here comma, and here comma. List is not defined. This is import problem. So typing dictionary list any. Okay, so this works. Now I have to go to my front end. I will reload this. I think I don't have this up and running, so I have to fix this. So I will split this console and I will say task frontend. Okay, did you mean server? Yeah, I have to fix it here. So frontend serve task. Okay, so development server starting. There's a question in the chat: is this part of new DevNet stuff? I'm sorry, I don't know what is new DevNet stuff and how and what is this part. So if you could clarify question, I could answer it better. So if I go here now, okay, so we obviously have some kind of issue here. And I don't know why yet. I think one of the things that I can do would be look on the console. So it just says undefined. Okay, I think the first thing I need to do would be just retrieve it like this. Okay, interesting. So we actually get the empty response and old devices. Old devices still works, but the new API endpoint doesn't. Oh, okay. I see why. So let's say devices append this, and I also see another problem here. Okay, and then Shift Alt F, same this. Missing white space. Okay. I think this is correct. So no, still incorrect. Wow. Okay. Then the Cisco certification process the most network automation technologies that you currently use in HDA, SD-WAN, ACI, and data center. I'm guessing you're leveraging API to get a network to complete tasks without human configuration. Yes, kind of. But this is not part of the DevNet certification though. Okay, no one pinged me yet, so I can still keep going for another like 5 or 10 minutes, I guess. I'm really curious why this doesn't work though. Oh, of course. This is not great. Okay. So I think this will be fine. Okay, so now we receive this name of QDN management IP, username, password, which is nice. Okay. So yep. The way we test it is the following. Well, I have to reload it here. Perfect. So now this fetches on the backend data from the NetBox, so including these credentials. So the only static piece is this management IP. I will have to figure it out, like how I pull this data from NetBox. This console, we don't have even any reference to consoles in the NetBox, so this should be fixed. Now the software version, this is something that I want to get via REST-conf, but because of my current lab problems, I will not be able to. Now the way we will like check that it works the way I expect it to work, we'll go to our NetBox instance. Too much stuff here, just too much. Okay, so here, and I would just put the device, I would change its site, right? So I just change the site, I say it now in San Jose. I will update it, and if I reload page here, you can see that now site has changed and FQDN has changed according to that. This management IP is again static, so this will not work. So cool. Let me see how much work it's going to be to get an IP addresses. I need some kind of API reference, I guess. I think they provide API, right? API or docs or something. AP docs. Okay. NetBox theme. Overview. As I said though, this management IP kinda not needed. I mean, this should be a function of FQDN, so FQDN should resolve into management IP. Graphics is interesting. Okay, have to double check devices. Okay, devices, manufacturer, model, slug, display name, device role, platform, serial number. I think I could also, well, there is primary IP. Hold on. There is primary IP, so I'm not sure why though it has the graphics, but I guess whatever. Yeah, I think I can pull it now. So I can just say primary IP I can say primary IP and address. Okay, so then this should be device primary get primary IP, I guess. And again, ideally what I would want to do, so I have this like module NetBox, right, which performs some of the basic root operations. Ideally, I want to convert this to objects. So I have auto-completion, I have validation, I have stuff like this. But again, just because I want to get like some kind of results as soon as possible and I don't want to write another NetBox library, I just doing it this way. Like directly working with the response, with the raw response, which is not the best way to do it. Don't like it this way. Primary IP data. Okay. Primary IP should be equal to primary data. Get address. And then you replace well, do I really need regex? I mean, whatever, I would just do regex. So import ref and where was it? So this should be sub. Okay, so pattern is what we are replacing and where. So then this should be, we are replacing slash d plus is nothing. I mean, it's also kind of a hack, but I guess whatever. and then this is primary IP. We put it here. Okay. So, and we'll go ahead and test this. Perfect. So now this works as well. And I will also check this out. Well, I will check this by changing this management IP address. So I can go to IPAM IP addresses and let's say go here and I add it here and I say that this is 110 and I will just refresh this and you can see that our management IP address changes here as well, which is pretty nice. This is pretty cool stuff. Let me change back the site. Maybe I will create a new site here. Sites. Let's create a new one. Let's say Porto, right? Or I don't know the slug name for Porto. No, let's don't change anything. Let's say Amsterdam, yeah, because for Amsterdam I can use AMS and status active and whatever. Okay, and I can take device 1 for example. Device 1. I can say that, where is this? Here, right? That this should belong to. I forgot it. Oh no! Hold on. This is unrelated. It should be here. So devices, and I say, let's say router 1. I go and I find a site. I edit it here and I say this belongs now to Amsterdam. Yeah. And I updated it and I refresh here the page and you can see that now it says here site Amsterdam of QTN has changed. IP address hasn't changed because we didn't change it there. But yeah. Now, probably the next piece would be to deal with this console and then lastly to do pull this information via RESTconf. I also want to actually add the serial number, but the serial number should also come directly from the device, not from the NetBox itself. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat. No, there aren't. Okay, folks, I will do a summary. If you still have some of the last questions, now would be a good time to ask. Right, so today we stumbled upon a technical issue here. Apparently my viral server, I lost my license, it just expired and I didn't renew it, so I couldn't access my viral instance local on my computer. So this was a bummer. I decided to give a try to DevNet Sandbox instead. It worked fine and I was able to, where is this? No, this one. Here. So I was able to reserve it in DevNet. Its reservation is for 4 hours. But the cool thing about that is I was able to take the topology from here together with starting configurations and just import it here and just start it. So within like a couple of minutes, I already had my topology here up and running. Now, granted that I will have to change the management IP address, well, which of course makes sense because this subnet goes outside of viral, right? So I needed to use a prefix which is provided by DevNet Sandbox to be able to access that. Now there was another issue. Well, I wouldn't call it an issue, but there is some kind of there's firewall or something which blocks access to a lot of devices here. So like from my computer, after any connect, I cannot access this router. So this is this is sad because I wanted to keep using my local development machine to talk to these devices, but I cannot. So that was quite sad. I was thinking if I should move all of this development to their development machine. It's like there's DevBox, which is located on the same network, but it would require too much work. I will have to move code, I will have to move NetBox instance, and none of that is like automated. So I started going down that path, and I realized that it's just going to take too much time, but also this instance disappears in 4 hours. So like all of my progress, unless I would completely automate it, would be lost. So I was, I wasted some time on that, but then I decided to just move on. And I also, as part of it, I showed you some of the things that I am using. So we were looking on dynaconf library. So let me show it to you briefly again. So this is dynaconf library, amazing library which allows you to separate configurations for like different environments. So for example, here I have separation for development environment, for staging environment, which are referring to different viral servers. Very cool library. The reason I was using it was because we almost outgrew the env.rc file. So previously I was using all of this information here as an environmental variable, but at some point it just grew a little bit too much. I will have to comment things out back and forth, so I decided to move to this library, which is pretty nice. I like it. Now I also showed to you the process that I follow on pretty much every like development or even production system, like what stuff I am installing there, like pyenv, docker compose is like my go-to list of things that should be there. Obviously correct version of Python, especially on development servers. On production I don't need Python, I just use docker there, and I will be just running containers my application. And lastly, at the last hour of the stream, I was actually decided to stop doing this, working with DevNet Sandbox environment, and I was just focusing on what I have locally and if I can just make that work. And I realized that I can still work this NetBox integration piece with my front end. So what we are doing here is that I have here the front end page, which is a table of all devices that I have, and I can put like whatever columns here I want. And the idea here is like to give you like a brief overview of devices in your possession, and mix information from NetBox with some other information like software version, or maybe even serial number, or maybe some other stuff. Yeah, so this should be a mix of NetBox data and REST-conf. In this particular case, I just stopped at NetBox integration more or less. So we are pulling device name site. We are forming this FQDN dynamically. We pull this from NetBox. We also pull these credentials using NetBox secrets. And this console is currently static. So we pull a bunch of things from NetBox. I will have to figure out in NetBox how I can represent the console ports, so we can tackle this next time. And obviously software version. So I'm really curious about adding REST-conf directly here, so we can, on a refresh, I can get this data, and you can see like how fast this is, even though this does API request to my backend, which in turn does the backend API request to NetBox. Now, another very key feature of this is all asynchronous. So while I'm doing this, I'm not blocking any workers during this API request. So this results in very high scalability of this application. So even like if I will keep interacting with a bunch of devices and like REST-conf and NetBox and this and this and this, it will be still completely fine, and multiple users will be able to use the system without any issues. So this, whenever I do anything with this well, with this technology stack, if you will. So like it's going to be concurrent. So my web workers will not be blocked, which is very interesting because if I'm not using async.io, the way to manage this like non-blocking state of workers would be to use job queues. And in this particular case, I don't need them. I may need job queue at some point if I want to do scheduled tasks, but until then, I don't need that. All right. I'm actually work for Cisco too. I'm an ASE. Congrats. I hope you like it. All right, folks. I think I'm done for today. I'm quite exhausted. I hope you'll fix our CML issue next time, so I will get a new license. Yeah. And with that, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.